Welcome back to the programme. Next, we're going to talk about Pouria Zeraati. The Iranian journalist was attacked outside his home in London at the end of last month. It's a stark reminder of the danger facing many Iranians who choose to criticise the regime in Tehran. Well, Pouria joins me now live. Thank you so much, Pouria, for joining us here on the programme. I just want to begin by asking you how you are just under a fortnight since that attack when you were stabbed.
Thank you, Yalda, for having me. It's a pleasure to be in your show, and I'm feeling much better physically, recovering, taking still antibiotics and painkillers, of course, but mentally, definitely, it takes some time to get over it. But we're all trying with my family and friends via video calls, and my wife with me in a safe house. So we are moving forward, and as they say in English, the show must go on.
Yeah, I mean, you're incredibly courageous and brave because just a week after you were attacked, you went back to the studio, back to presenting, back to doing your show, despite concerns that this attack happened as a result of what you do for a living. But just take me back to that evening and what exactly happened.
Uh, yes, on Friday, 29th of March afternoon, around quarter to 3 p.m. I was going towards my car, actually to go to studio to have my show, which is every Friday at 5:30 p.m. UK time. I was approached by a man who was pretending to be asking for £3 cash, and I was saying, as I was saying that I don't have any change, the second man approached and they just grabbed me from the front very firmly. And the first person who asked for £3 cash, she stabbed me in my leg, in my back side of the leg, in my thighs, and they very fast they ran away. And first, actually, I was thinking it's a robbery, but I saw my mobile phones, my watch, my wallet with cash in it, and my AirPod are with me. So suddenly, I just noticed there's something regarding my job, considering the ongoing threats we've been facing since a couple of years ago, 22 uprisings in Iran, and then the police arrived, and then the ambulance. I want to thank the medical team in ambulance and then the hospital because I lost a lot of blood and they helped me a lot in first hours. Yeah, that's what happened on Friday.
Well, as I
Nice.
said, a week later, you went back to work, and Scotland Yard is investigating this. You also now have security and protection around you. And they are looking into the fact that this could be state-sponsored terrorism and an attack targeting you. How do you feel now? This is obviously something that you were hit on your leg. Do you think they could have killed you, though?
Yes, first I need to talk about the facts and what happened and what is happening in terms of investigation. As per latest police's statement, Metropolitan Police and specifically the counterterrorism unit, they are still investigating the case. And as you mentioned in the opening, 3 suspects have fled the country, and they are working constantly with their international partners to bring them back to the UK. This is what I can share right now and at this stage. But the fact that counterterrorism police, specifically SO15 unit, which deals with hostile states in the UK, are leading this investigation and inspections, that says it all. So for now, it looks like a state-sponsored attack, but we need to wait for more investigation results to come out, and it will be published by the police. In terms of the risk against me, the scenario I think was to harm me, because the way they were holding me on that afternoon, Friday 29th of March, and then they stabbed me in my leg. They could stab anywhere in my body as they were running away, so they could make sure that I'm not alive after they run away. So they could stab in my neck, they could stab in my heart. There are places specifically that people make sure the target is dead. So that's my assumption. That's not something we can be sure about. As I said, the investigation is still going on, and we need to wait and see what was the exact motive and target on that day. But this is my kind of guess for
Yeah,
now.
I mean, are you now worried about your safety and security and getting around?
Yalda, yeah, we need to clarify. There is a difference between being worried and being scared. Of course, I am worried and I'm concerned, and we are under protection right now, and I'm not even allowed to visit my friends, and so that is concerning. The whole situation is concerning. But if it was done to scare me and to silence me, definitely it's not working. Because I need to again clarify, this was an attack against me as Pouria. This was an attack against the job I do. This was an attack against the platform I have, which, based on latest surveys in Iran, via satellite, people watching, millions of people watch it every week. Every week, the whole network actually. So yeah, there is a difference. I am concerned, but I am not scared.
And that's led you to return to work, to go back to the studio. As I said, just 7 days after, the following week, you went back to your show, back to the same studio, probably back to the
Yeah,
same car park where it happened.
yeah, actually, I was staying in hospital. After I was discharged, I was moved to a safe house, and then, which is actually still ongoing. But yeah, the fact that I insisted in getting back to work, which caused a lot of problem for the security team of the television network, Iran International, and also the police actually helped me to and from studio. I mean, arranging the transport and stuff. But actually, I wanted to go to studio and have my show last Friday, to send a message back to whoever did that, and whatever the motive was, that the show is still going on. I am here, and my audience are still watching this show. And as I said, the flow of the information cannot be stopped in 21st century.
But, Puri, you say this is an attack against the network, against your show, against what you do. Do you have a sense of why it might have been specifically you that was targeted?
Uh, As you know, and probably to give you a background story, the threats have been ongoing against the network since the uprising started in 2022. We had the news in December 22, discovered by ITV News, which they had an exclusive report about two of my colleagues, which the plot against them, assassination plot against them, was foiled by the British intelligence service. So, if we consider these facts, and also the whole attack against the headquarter building in Chiswick, which we had to shut down the studios for a while. In London, we moved to Washington, D.C. for a period of about 9 months, to reestablish the headquarter in another area in London, and in a safer place. And so, considering these facts, this is not the first time happening to journalists working in Iran International. This organization, news organization, was designated as a terrorist organization by the Iranian regime during the uprisings in Iran. And
And Pouria, I just want to know, I mean, as a network, were you taking extra precautions given the threats against the network, and given,
of
as you
course,
say, please go on.
yeah, of course. As I said, we have been facing the threats constantly. Especially, I've been in this job for 14 years. I used to work for another network, and then I joined Iran International. The threats have been there always, but specifically after September 2022, which they actually killed Mahsa Amini because of compulsory whaling in Iran, and the following the uprising, and then again. After the October 7th attack on Israel, the Iranian regime has leveled up the threats against journalists, activists, dissidents, all the opposition groups. So this is not something new. We have been facing the threats as network. I have been facing threats from the regime personally. Uh, we've been always reporting them to the counterterrorism unit, and they are in constant contact with the network security department, and in terms of arranging all the measures they need to take to make sure we are safe. But they and there was a report, I think, a few days back, I read somewhere there was at least 15 plots against Iranian journalists and activists in London since the beginning of 2022, which
Did
was
you think,
foiled
though,
by the
that they
British
would
intelligence.
actually, did you think that they would actually be successful in this way?
Uh, what do you mean by that? You mean by
Well,
doing this?
in the sense that the threats were there, you know, there's an understanding that there were, as you say, there were allegedly 15 plots that were foiled. But did you think that this would ever happen to you? You know, given the threats, did you talk about this with your colleagues, with your family, that you know perhaps someday something like this could happen? Because
Yes.
it did shock the entire Iranian diaspora and community, not just in this country, but right around the world.
Yes, this is something, being a journalist, let me be clear, actually, Yalda, and I know you have an Afghan background as well, and you know the region maybe more than the other journalists who haven't been there. And being a journalist in countries like Iran, Afghanistan, the whole Middle East is totally different than being a journalist in a democratic country. So it's a choice you make. So when you are in this job, that's the choice you've made, and you expect threats and incidents happening to you all the time. Or either you are a journalist on the field, covering the war, covering the conflicts, covering the all the terrorist attacks and stuff since 20, 25 years ago specifically, and then also living in European countries or North America, again, broadcasting for Iran and Middle East. So you are at risk. And this is not something that you don't expect, and you will be completely shocked when it happens to you. But I need to be I need to be frank. When it happened to me, and specifically by the time the third police statement came out, which was shared with me a few minutes before actually they published it, saying this was designed actually only to attack me. They just had it planned to take a car. They just left the car abandoned about 4 miles from my house, and then they just left the country through Heathrow Airport. So this told me something. This was shocking for me for the beginning, and then by the time it passes by, I just think, okay, so this was something I was expecting, and it happened to me. But the fact and important is it shouldn't stop me, which is not, because as I said, it is against the narrative, it is against the stories I cover, it is against the show, it is against the network, and it is against the people who are watching. They need to understand the fact that majority of people right now are watching satellite TVs and following news through social media and
Through
independent agencies
and
and
the
journalists. That is telling.
Yeah, well, Pouria, you're incredibly brave and courageous, especially to return back to work. Thank you so much for joining us.